He's turning blue. I screamed, watching helplessly as my 6-year-old son Oliver clutched his throat, his lips taking on a terrifying shade of purple. The Italian restaurant erupted into chaos as other diners jumped from their seats, someone shouting for an EpiPen. My name is Madison Parker, and what should have been a simple family dinner turned into my worst nightmare. My cousin Diana sat across the table, her face a mask of fake concern, though I caught the slight smile she tried to hide behind her hand. I'm sure it's just anxiety, she said calmly, while Oliver's breathing became more labored. He's always been dramatic about his so-called peanut allergy. I frantically dug through my purse for Oliver's EpiPen, but it wasn't there. I always kept it in the small front pocket, checking obsessively before we left the house. Always. But tonight, somehow, it was missing. Looking for this? Diana asked, pulling Oliver's EpiPen from her designer handbag. I found it in the restaurant bathroom earlier. Someone must have dropped it. My blood ran cold as I snatched it from her manicured hands. Later, I would remember this moment, remember how she volunteered to watch my purse when I'd taken Oliver to wash his hands before the meal. But right now, all I could focus on was saving my son. The EpiPen shot worked quickly, but Oliver still needed emergency care. As the paramedics loaded him into the ambulance, I heard Diana telling my parents, who'd just arrived at the restaurant, I don't understand what happened. I specifically told the waiter about his peanut allergy. This is terrible. But something felt wrong. Diana had insisted on ordering for the table, claiming she knew the best dishes. She practically forced Oliver to try her special pasta sauce, saying, "Come on, buddy, just one bite. Your mom makes you too scared of food." At the hospital, the doctor confirmed what I already knew. Oliver had suffered a severe allergic reaction to peanuts. This level of reaction suggests direct exposure, Dr. Thompson explained, her face serious. Not cross-contamination. Was he given something containing peanuts? I thought about Diana's insistence that Oliver try her sauce, how she practically spoon-fed it to him herself. Diana, who'd spent the last 6 months telling everyone that I was making up Oliver's allergies for attention. Diana, who repeatedly accused me of Munchausen by proxy in family gatherings. "Officer," I said to the policeman taking our statement, "I need you to check the restaurant security cameras. I don't think this was an accident." Diana had always been the family favorite, beautiful, successful, and recently married to a wealthy businessman. When I became a single mom at 23, she'd been the first to criticize my parenting. Oliver's allergies, diagnosed when he was 2, became her favorite target. "You're just being overprotective," she'd say at family events. My mother never restricted what I ate, and I turned out fine. She tried to slip Oliver forbidden foods, calling me paranoid when I intervened. The hospital wanted to keep Oliver overnight for observation. As he finally drifted off to sleep, his breathing still raspy but stable, my phone buzzed with a text from the restaurant's manager. "Mrs. Parker, we've reviewed the security footage from tonight. You need to see this. It's disturbing." Detective Santos arrived at the hospital within the hour, tablet in hand. "We have footage from multiple angles," she explained, her expression grim, including the kitchen area. The first clip showed Diana arriving at the restaurant 2 hours before our dinner reservation. She spoke with someone in chef's whites near the back entrance, handing them what looked like cash. The second clip showed her in the bathroom, clearly rummaging through my purse while I was helping Oliver wash his hands. But it was the kitchen footage that made my heart stop. Diana was there, adding something to a specific plate of pasta sauce. The time set matched our dinner order. "We've interviewed the kitchen staff," Detective Santos said. "A man claiming to be a new chef helped prepare your table's order. He left immediately after. No one recognized him." My hands shook as I watched the footage again. "She planned this," I whispered. "She deliberately poisoned my son." "There's more," Detective Santos said quietly. "We found this while searching her phone." She showed me a series of text messages between Diana and someone saved as J, kitchen help. The messages dated back 3 months, discussing payment for help with a food allergy test, and ensuring it would look like a restaurant mistake. "I just need to prove she's lying about his allergies," Diana had written. "Once he eats it without any problems, everyone will see what an attention-seeking fraud Madison is." As if that wasn't damning enough, her phone contained photos of my purse from different angles, obviously taken without my knowledge, showing exactly where I kept Oliver's EpiPen. "Mrs. Parker," Detective Santos said, "we're treating this as attempted murder. The level of premeditation here." She was interrupted by a commotion in the hallway. Diana was there, still playing the concerned cousin. "I came as soon as I heard Oliver was staying overnight," she called out, walking toward us with a stuffed bear in her hands. Detective Santos stepped forward, blocking her path. "Ms. Diana Wells, you're under arrest for attempted murder and conspiracy to commit grievous bodily harm to a minor." Diana's face went white, then red with rage. "This is ridiculous. I was trying to help. Madison's been lying about his allergies for years. I was proving a point." As they led her away in handcuffs, she kept screaming about doing it for the family, about exposing my lies. But what the investigation would uncover about Diana's help would shake our family to its core. The days following Diana's arrest exposed a web of calculated malice that left our entire family reeling. Detective Santos's investigation revealed that the restaurant incident wasn't Diana's first attempt to prove Oliver was faking his allergies. "We found a journal in her home office," Detective Santos explained, spreading photos across the hospital table. "She's been documenting her attempts for months. The entries made me physically ill." Diana had been systematically contaminating Oliver's food at family gatherings, starting with trace amounts of peanuts. When those smaller exposures triggered mild reactions, she convinced everyone they were just anxiety attacks brought on by my helicopter parenting. "Look how you're making him afraid of everything," she'd say, while my son developed mysterious hives or stomach aches. Now I understood why Oliver had been getting sick after nearly every family dinner. But the most shocking discovery came from Diana's husband, Mark. He found a hidden camera footage in their home office showing Diana practicing with different recipes, testing peanut concentrations. She'd even created spreadsheets tracking symptoms she expected to see. "I thought she was working on her food blog," Mark told the police, his voice hollow. "She said she was developing allergy-friendly recipes. I had no idea. I helped her set up that camera." The investigation also uncovered Diana's obsession with Munchausen by proxy cases. Her computer history showed hundreds of hours researching the condition. She joined online forums dedicated to exposing parents who fake their children's medical conditions. "She was building a case against you," Detective Santos explained. "She planned to use Oliver's miraculous recovery from his fake allergies to launch a social media campaign about medical child abuse." The evidence kept mounting. Diana had been collecting hair samples from Oliver during his visits, testing them for traces of medications she was convinced I was using to make him sick. She'd even hired a private investigator to follow us to doctor appointments. Then came the messages from her phone. Dozens of conversations with members of an online group called Medical Truth Seekers. They encouraged her investigation, offering advice on how to prove I was faking Oliver's condition. "You're doing the right thing," one message read. "Sometimes you have to be cruel to be kind. Once you expose her lies, she'll get the help she needs." The group members shared techniques for testing children's fake allergies, discussing dosages and methods of food contamination. Diana had taken detailed notes, planning each exposure with clinical precision. My parents were devastated. They'd always favored Diana, often taking her side when she questioned Oliver's allergies. Now they sat in the hospital room, watching their grandson recover, crushed by their own role in enabling Diana's actions. "We should have listened," my mother sobbed, holding Oliver's small hand. "All those times you told us something wasn't right, that Diana was making him uncomfortable. We just thought she was trying to help." Oliver's allergist, Dr. Chen, reviewed Diana's journal and was horrified by the escalating pattern. Each exposure could have killed him, she explained. His allergies weren't getting worse by chance. She was systematically sensitizing his immune system with repeated exposures. The restaurant attack could have been fatal precisely because of her previous tests. The prosecutor's office filed multiple charges: attempted murder, assault with intent to cause grievous bodily harm, child endangerment, and conspiracy. Diana's medical truth seekers friends suddenly went quiet, deleting their accounts and disappearing into the internet's shadows. But Diana refused to accept responsibility. During her initial court appearance, she maintained her righteousness. "I was trying to save him from her," she screamed, pointing at me. "She's the one hurting him. I'm the only one who cared enough to prove it." The judge was unimpressed. "Ms. Wells, your actions show not concern but a dangerous obsession. You deliberately and repeatedly exposed a child to substances you knew could kill him. This was not help. This was calculated torture." Diana was denied bail. deemed a danger to Oliver. Her husband filed for divorce the next day, horrified by what she'd done under the guise of helping. As Oliver recovered, we discovered more families in the Medical Truth Seekers network who'd been targeted by self-appointed medical vigilantes. Some children had ended up in intensive care. One had died. The FBI launched an investigation into the online group. Sitting by Oliver's hospital bed, watching him sleep peacefully after another round of treatments, I thought about all the times I doubted myself because of Diana's accusations. How many other parents had suffered similar campaigns of medical gaslighting? But the story wasn't over. As the trial approached, Diana's lawyer contacted us with an unexpected revelation. She hadn't been working alone. Someone else in our family had been helping her all along, someone we never suspected. The revelation hit our family like a bomb. Diana's accomplice was her mother, my Aunt Patricia, a retired nurse who had access to medical supplies and knowledge of how to manipulate allergy symptoms. She'd been the one advising Diana on dosages, providing medical materials, and helping coordinate the tests. We found a burner phone in Patricia's house, Detective Santos explained. The messages between her and Diana go back over a year. They were planning this together, documenting everything like some twisted scientific experiment. The messages were chilling. Patricia had been coaching Diana, using her medical background to make their attacks appear like natural allergic progression. She'd even helped falsify some of Oliver's medical records at a clinic where she still had connections. The boy needs to be freed from his mother's delusions, Patricia had written. Sometimes we must be cruel to save someone. I did it with you when you were young, and look how strong you turned out. This sparked another investigation, this time into Diana's childhood medical records. What emerged was a generational pattern of medical abuse. Patricia had subjected Diana to unnecessary treatments and fictitious ailments throughout her childhood, creating the very monster she'd helped unleash on Oliver. During Patricia's arrest, she remained coldly clinical. I was protecting my grandson, she insisted. Madison is doing the same thing to him that her mother did to her. It runs in families, you know, Munchausen's. But she was wrong. My mother, devastated by the accusations, provided decades of my own medical records, showing no pattern of fictitious illnesses. Oliver's allergies were real, documented by multiple independent doctors since his first reaction as a toddler. The prosecution now had an even stronger case. Patricia's involvement proved the attacks weren't just a cousin's misguided attempt to help. They were a calculated, medically informed campaign of torture against the child. In a surprise move, Diana's lawyer approached us with a deal. She would testify against her mother in exchange for a reduced sentence. The prosecutor explained that Patricia's role as the medical authority made her the more culpable party. Your aunt used her medical knowledge to deliberately harm a child, the prosecutor explained. She trained Diana to carry out these attacks, exploiting her own daughter's traumatic childhood to create an accomplice. The trial was brutal. Medical experts testified about the escalating pattern of exposures, how each test had made Oliver's allergies more severe. Security footage from multiple family events showed Patricia and Diana working together, contaminating food, swapping plates, creating diversions while they tampered with Oliver's meals. Diana's testimony was devastating. She described how her mother had convinced her that all unusual medical conditions were fake, that parents like me needed to be exposed for our children's own good. She spoke about her own childhood of medical gaslighting, how Patricia had made her doubt every illness, every pain. I thought I was helping, Diana sobbed on the stand. My mother told me that's what love looks like, forcing people to face the truth, even if it hurts them. I didn't understand that she was the one who taught me to ignore real pain. Patricia remained unmoved, even as the evidence mounted. Everything I did was for the good of the family, she declared. Sometimes we must cut out the cancer of attention-seeking behavior, no matter the cost. The jury took just 4 hours to reach their verdicts. Patricia was sentenced to 15 years for her role as the mastermind. Diana received 8 years, with mandatory psychiatric treatment. Both were permanently barred from any contact with Oliver. In the aftermath, our family began the slow process of healing. Oliver's allergies stabilized once the secret exposures stopped. We moved to a new house, installed security cameras, and changed all our emergency medical providers. My parents threw themselves into allergy awareness advocacy, helping other families recognize and prevent medical abuse. They sponsored legislation requiring better security measures in restaurants to prevent allergen tampering. A year after the trial, I received a letter from Diana's psychiatrist. Diana wanted to meet to apologize in person. She'd been diagnosed with complex PTSD from her own childhood of medical abuse, finally receiving the help she needed to understand what her mother had done to her and what she'd done to Oliver. I declined the meeting. Some betrayals can't be forgiven, even if they can be understood. Instead, I focused on helping Oliver heal, not just physically but emotionally. We worked with child psychologists to process the trauma, to rebuild his trust in family and food. Today, Oliver is 8 and thriving. He's learned to advocate for his own health, to trust his body's signals, and to understand that his allergies are real and valid. The security cameras that caught his aunt and grandmother's crimes now watch over a happy, healthy boy who knows he's safe in his own home. Sometimes at night, I still check his breathing, haunted by the memory of that terrible night at the restaurant. But then I remember that the people who hurt him are gone, that our family's cycle of medical abuse ended with my son's generation. We survived their tests, their twisted version of love. And in doing so, we learned the most important lesson. Real love protects, it doesn't probe for weakness. Real love believes your pain.